Yeah, welcome to this video for the fourth round of the Istanbul Chess Olympiad. Yeah, in this round we had some already rather tight matches in terms of rating, but nevertheless the favorites pretty much won all their matches, or in this kind of close matchups, let's say between Germany and Azerbaijan, there have been draws, or France and England also a 2-2 at the end. So we are all set for big clashes in round 5 happening today here, Saturday the 1st of September. But let's go back to yesterday, what happened there. I'll selected one game finish here of Ivanchuk's game against the top board from Poland, Wojtaszek. And the other game which I will be showing in its completeness is Nakamura against Sasikiran. So the US team was playing India. Okay, first this game fragment. So Ivanchuk for Ukraine playing against Polish top board Wojtaszek. We see this position here on move 32, and it's pretty messy position. Wojtaszek quite some moves ago sacrificed a piece for 2 pawns because there had been passed pawns on the queen side which were very, very dangerous, so he decided to better get rid of these pawns for 1 piece. So Ivanchuk is a piece up for 2 pawns, but it's a very messy position as mentioned. White has a huge advantage, but we see what's happening now. Wojtaszek now plays a6, attacking the rook, and now Ivanchuk really found a very nice solution to this problem of this position. He sacrificed the exchange here on b2, took the bishop, black recaptured, and now knight to e5, and this is winning a tempo on the rook. The knight is attacking the rook, and the rook doesn't have any good squares, or any particularly great squares. He went to d2, and here white has a very nice way to finish the game. Let's see.
Check.
Knight f6 check, very nice. Black took this, but let's check briefly what would happen if he played king h8. In this position, white has the beautiful move knight g6 check. Black needs to take. Queen h6 check. Takes, and rook h7, which is one of my favorite mating patterns. I simply love this. Knight on f6, rook on h7, king on h8. So it's a very nice double sacrifice. Knight g6 check, and the queen sack, very nice. So this would happen if black would move the king, so he took it, and now Ivanchuk just gave this check. Black now goes to h7. White can take here, and I think this actually was the game, right? Sorry, this actually was the game, with the following mate to happen.
Checkmate.
And it's a very nice checkmate again. And if black would go here, then we have this one, check, takes, and rook check here. And now black can, in true computer style, give all his rooks, but at the end it's queen g8 mate. So let's recap this quickly. With knight f6, white was winning. King h8 failed to this nice knight g6 check. Yeah, and this led to checkmate as well. So very nice finish here for Ivanchuk, who seems to have recovered from his rather unlucky loss in, I think it was round 2 against Iran. Was it Iran? I'm not sure. Against Almodahiki. No, this is Qatar, right? This is Qatar, sorry. Okay, so Ivanchuk with a win against Wojtaszek, and Ukraine also won the match, I think 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. They won it. Yeah, they won, right. Poland scored on port 4, but 3-1 at the end. Okay, so let's now switch to the main game, which is okay, need to find it here. Which is here Nakamura against Sasikiran from India. US team was playing India, and let's see what happened. So Hikaru played e4 and Sasikiran e5. Yeah, I think Sasikiran mainly plays e5 or the knight off, so this was an expected answer. Knight f3, knight c6, and now the Scotch game, which Nakamura plays from time to time. He plays all kinds of openings, so it's hard to tell what's really his kind of main weapon. Okay, we get the Scotch, and Sasikiran opts for knight f6 here. Black has a couple of alternatives, obviously. The main alternative being bishop c5. In my repertoire series, I recommend this check, which is maybe slightly worse than the other moves, but still very much playable, and it puts white off a bit of the beaten track. Okay, but Sasikiran played knight to f6, after which Nakamura took on c6, the so-called Mises variation, called after some, I think, German player from the 19th century. So knight c6, bc6, and e5. This is the line which has been popularized by Kasparov in the 90s, when he suddenly played the Scotch in the World Championship match, which was really a bit of a sensation at the time, as basically everyone was playing the Ruy Lopez and no one was playing the Scotch. So Karpov was really surprised there. But it became into fashion afterwards, and it's still a viable alternative to the Ruy Lopez or the Italian game. Okay, queen e7. This is really a necessary move. Yeah, probably a necessary move. It looks ugly, of course, but this attack on the pawn pretty much forces white's reply, queen e2. You cannot really play something like, I don't know, f4 and get your center broken up so quickly. So queen e2 happened. Now the knight obviously is hanging, so it needs to move. And now c4, attacking the knight on d5. Yeah, here black has two moves really. He can play bishop a6, utilizing this pin here to keep the knight on d5 for a little longer. On the other hand, this bishop might be misplaced in the long run, because it attacks c4, but very often white just covers it. And but it's very concrete, this kind of opening. It's not like you could play this on general considerations. It's very much a matter of calculation and concrete lines. Sasikiran played knight b6 immediately, which is perfectly okay. It's the other main move. Knight c3, and now bishop b7. This move was a bit of an obscure line until I think 2011, when Kramnik played it to win quickly against Shirov in Wijk-aan-Zee, Carter Steel or Chorus at the time, I think. Yeah, bishop b7. The idea is to quickly get to the queen side with the king, and then probably break up the center. I'm not a huge expert on this, so I cannot really tell when the novelty sets in. I mean, I found games. Bishop f4 has been played. Castles long. g5. All this has been played, but in relatively low-level games. And I have my notebook here on vacation. I don't have my big database where I could maybe look at very new games. So probably it's possible that I missed some game. Okay, g5 looks a bit exotic at first maybe, but the idea is win a tempo on the bishop, and then in this kind of configuration you have bishop g7 and you put pressure on this pawn, and g5 also means that any kind of covering by a pawn can be taken. So black's idea is to pressurize this e5 pawn. So white played h4. Okay, he needed to attend to this h4 threat, winning a piece. g4. Yeah, and now this had been played before. I think in one game they had been played. Now king b1. This was also in this game that I saw. Now queen e3 was was a new move, but I'm not sure. But I guess they are on their own now. If you look at the clock times, both had spent about half an hour. Need to take into account the bonus 30 seconds. So how to assess this position? It's actually very difficult, I must say. I always find this kind of positions very hard to evaluate, as it's very uneven. Black has got somewhat weird pieces on the queen side, and white has got this pawn, which might be a possible weakness, but also restricts black's possibilities at the moment. And also black has a potentially problematic king. Not at the moment. He's got those pieces, which are also marked in red here, helping for any possible attacks. But in the long term, this king can be a problem with those pawns, and now it's very red. Okay. So a very difficult position to assess. Let's see what happens. Black played rook d8, which is fairly logical, I would say, attacking e5, and Nakamura played rook e1, covering this attacked pawn, and now black played c5. Yeah, this all seems very understandable to me. He wants to get this bishop into play, and I think I would assess this position as around equal. I don't think that black has any big problems here. He has pretty healthy pieces. This knight on b6 is not doing so much. It attacks c4, but that's it. But black seems to be fairly okay, I would say. Okay, Nakamura now plays typically sharp move for his start. He played a4, directly trying to attack this knight. And black needs to do something about this. He cannot really allow the knight to being pushed back to a8. So black needs to react in a way, and he did this with d6. I also had a brief look at the possible continuation a5, which might look a bit weird, because this pawn is a bit, how would you call it? It's a bit alone. It's not protected by anyone. And just imagine white would get a queen here. It would be very nasty. You cannot cover this pawn. And I'm not sure if this is really a big problem. Let's say white would play queen d2. Let's say d6. Knight b5. Bishop takes e5. Queen here, queen d7. It doesn't look too bad to me. But a5 is a very strange looking move, and it wasn't necessary really. What Sasikiran played was perfectly alright. He played d6 attacking the center. Makes much sense to me. Now Nakamura played a5, knight to d7, and knight b5. So very concrete play on the a7 pawn. What happened now? Okay, knight takes e5. Black grabbed the pawn. So he won this pawn on e5, which he had put so much pressure on. And now what happens next? White played the interesting move queen b3. And this is, I think, a very critical position for this game, as here black could have played differently really. He played bishop to a8, which makes sense in a way, because he wants to get his king in the center after knight takes a7, and the bishop on b7 was a liability there. I want to show you an alternative, and this is just for showing what's possible, but it's very understandable that black didn't play it. You also must see he really was, if you look at the clock times, Nakamura 40 minutes, Sasikiran 18, he really was down on time already. So he played this, but the alternative that I want to mention is this move, which at first looks like complete nonsense because of this check. If you look at this, king is checked, and if he goes to the center, you just pick this and it's over. So black needs to go here, and then your first instinct is, alright, okay, just take here, and next move I play knight c6 and win the queen. But black has the amazing resource, queen d7. You can just play this funny move, and this knight cannot escape. And strangely enough, if you look at this, white might take and retreat the knight. Black would simply take and play something like this, and this is even better for black. But this is of course very difficult to calculate or even consider. It's a very unnatural kind of way of playing, but it's a bit of a typical computer line. What is also interesting in this position, if you look at this here, rook takes e5 is one idea, but also you can ask, what about this move? Yeah, black needs to take it, otherwise the queen is lost by the knight, so needs to take here, and rook takes. And this is an interesting position where black has sacrificed the queen for rook, minor piece and pawn. In fact, black is almost winning in this position, because his pieces are so beautifully coordinated. This one is coming, possibly bishop e4 check. It's dreadful, really a terrible position for white. The computer already has this as -4, so white will lose instantly, basically. a6 was an interesting idea, which at the end might be really unclear. White can also play in this position after a6, or I need to do this another way. White could also play rook takes e5, by the way, which is an idea. The idea being after bishop e5, now give this check. And even this kind of position isn't completely clear. So black might have ideas like this, and the knight here. I don't know. It's very much difficult. Black can also, after rook takes e5, so we have a6, which he played in the game. We have a6. Oops, let me show this briefly again. Rook takes e5. After this, black even has the funny resource bishop e4 check, and this also ends in about an equal position. So a6 was a possibility, but okay, with little time, he played bishop a8. It's no mistake. It's perfectly alright. You can do this. So now white played f4, and this is a good move, I think. It attacks the knight and forces black to capture en passant. And here, white has given himself an additional possibility of giving a check on h3. So white just got extra options with f4. Very good idea. So here, queen f6, which is also, I think, perfectly alright. He activates the queen and he steps out of this this pin, obviously. Okay, and white now grabbed on a7 and king d8. Yeah, you cannot go to d7 because you have this check immediately. So king d8, and yeah, this position is really complicated, and you need to take into account the clock times. Sasikiran was on about 15 minutes left, and Nakamura had about 30 minutes, and yeah, obviously he's a very good tactician who can set problems. He now gave he took on e5, and now the check. And yeah, what should black do? He must really go here. If you would go to e7, then white just takes here. So here, and now this mentioned idea, bishop h3 check, and yeah, black has no big choice. He needs to interpose with the rook. It's not such a big deal that black loses the exchange. White gives a check, king here, and now he took the exchange. It's not such a big deal. because the concrete features of the positions are more important. Black has this nice bishop which might grab a pawn. He's got the diagonal to work, and this knight isn't so great either. It's still a very tricky position. Probably in computer terms it's fine for white, but it's very difficult to play. Nakamura now played rook g1, and we see that he caught up on the clock, if this is correct. Yeah, here black played rook d8, which looks normal, really. Centralizing this piece. He also really could have considered to take here, but this is the typical cold-blooded computer move that you get suggested all the time. I mean, a person, a human, wouldn't really think about grabbing pawns, but it's probably possible. Something like this is the main line, and it ends in an unclear position. Maybe still slightly better for white because of black's king, but you could continue this for a while. It's very difficult to assess. Okay, he didn't take it. He played this rook move. And here Nakamura, I think, could have played better, but this is also a typical computer move. He played knight c6, which is perfectly alright, I think. Also the move I would have considered, really. But computer says rook g2 is very strong. And okay, one idea is to protect this pawn from the side, and the other is to utilize the rooks here, doubling, or possibly even doubling on e2. Yeah, this looks funny. So white can use his rooks very flexibly. This is a very huge advantage according to the computer, but alright, it's at least, let's say, difficult to find this move. Knight c6 is the human move here, which after takes on g7, just returning the exchange, leads to this position. And this is the kind of position, if you look at this, it's a simple line to calculate, which you simply see, okay, white has chances with this a pawn, and black has a bit of a problem to coordinate against this pawn, and you still have this play against the king. So this is a position you can just simply assess as being somewhat better for you, and the other position is still murky with rook g2. So this is really the human decision. Yeah, and in this position, Sasikiran played queen to d4. Note that they're down to 2 minutes or 6 minutes in white's case. So it's really it's a bit of a blitz game now. But note that they get 30 seconds per move. It's not that bad. Okay, queen d4. He had alternatives. He also could play this, for instance. But okay, queen d4 is a very understandable move. You want to centralize your pieces, and especially if you've got not so much time on the clock, you should try to maximize your piece activity. a6, pushing the pawn, and now he gave this check, and queen d2, attacking the rook. And here Nakamura played queen e4. Yeah, king to d7, very cold-blooded. White could take now on e6, and this is in fact a very critical position. Here, instead of a7, what Nakamura played, white actually should have taken on e6. But it's difficult. King c6 is the only move. Now this, black needs to go back, otherwise you cannot go here because of this here, leading to mate. So it needs to go back, and only in this position a7. And this is much better than the game. It would lead to something like this: queen a5 check, king b1, queen a7. Queen e7 check, king c8, check here, and then rook e3. And white is better. Black can still fight, but white is certainly better. because the king is just a huge problem. In the game, Nakamura played a7, so sort of the other way around. But this gave Sasikiran now a chance, which he didn't took. He could have played Queen a5 check, King b1, and Rook e8. And this is actually okay for black. It's simply not possible to keep this pawn. White can try all kinds of things, which look really dangerous, I must admit. Let's say you could play this one. You can take here. Yeah, and now black can simply interpose. I think even this one is playable. Funny enough. Yeah, it looks very dangerous for black, but it seems to be playable. So maybe he didn't really appreciate the simple Rook e8. Often the simple moves are the most difficult ones, simply covering this. Actually, what he did wasn't so bad either. He played the move Rook a8, the far more complicated choice, attacking the pawn, and this of course is no problem at all. It's at least a no, it's not at least. It is a perpetual check, but black cannot do anything more. So white didn't take. What Nakamura did was he played the move King b1, and this is really a clever move. A really clever move. Now black had about 4 minutes on the clock, if you can trust the clock times, and what he should have done now is e5. And in fact, after e5, he is perfectly okay. It's all very cold-blooded to play this. The point is, white plays Rook g1, intending this attack. Black can really simply take here, as this is okay for black, but it's something. Yeah, it's difficult to assess this kind of position if you've got only a couple of minutes on the clock. The real problem is that white doesn't have any time for moves that are not a check here, for silent moves, so to say. Cannot play something like this with this threat because it's made on the other side. So this is a real problem. Black has a big counterplay going, and white can give all kinds of checks, but it's simply no checkmate. Look at this. You're just escaping. It's a draw, but you're just escaping. But okay, back to the game position. After Nakamura played this trappy move King b1, yeah, here Sasikiran, yeah, he took on a7. Yeah, and this in fact, after taking, what should black do? King d8 is a simple mate in 1. So he needs to go here. And now after this move, what should black do? This is just mate in 1. So he needs to go here. Queen b5 check. King anywhere. And Rook e8 checkmate. Yeah, and this is how it ended. He took a7, and after this Queen e8 check, Sasikiran resigned in view of the upcoming mate. So actually, I think he did a tremendous job keeping this position together with his shaky king, but he really fell just 3 moves short of the time control. I wonder if the clock times are really correct, because I think with 4 minutes on the clock, he should spot the mate really, but he was under so much pressure all the times, and that at one point you might crack. This is simply the kind of play that is very much typical of the top players, that they keep on setting the opponent problems, putting pressure on various points, and at some point you might simply make a blunder because you're not able to cope with the pressure anymore. So it ended in a checkmate following this. Yeah, this was in fact the only win for the US team against India. They played a 2-2 tie as Gatakamsky lost to I think it was Hari Krishna on board too. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game. It's a very typical fighting game of typical of today's complicated tactical chess. Another game that is interesting to look at, especially for the finish, is Ivanchuk again with black against Wang Yue from the match Russia versus China yesterday. I didn't cover it here in the video because it has been covered by other commentators. I think Andrew Martin and Daniel King, they both did a video on this. So if you want to watch this game, Wang Yue against Ivanchuk, check out Daniel King's channel or Andrew Martin's. Maybe there's even another version of it. But okay, I didn't want to do this game also to not have so many repeats, so to say, that you've got the same game all the time. Yeah, thanks for watching.